Fuel is the official podcast of the 434th Air Refueling Wing. Join us for airman connections, leadership insights, mentorship, and happenings mixed with some fun and humor. Please understand that the views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the views of the U.S. Air Force nor the Air Force Reserve, and no endorsement of any person or business is ever intended.
Hello and welcome to the April 22 Fuel podcast, and it's our 12th one. It's 1 year. We made it.
Our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we didn't get canceled, but I don't know who would cancel us.
We're still young.
Yeah, that's it. There's one of you five out there that are listening that you have the ability to cancel us. Don't do it. So
please don't do it.
Yeah, I am the command chief here in the 434th, Chief Nathan Parks, and as always with me is Tech Sergeant Josh, the Dream Weaver. Which now you've had this. I came up with that like on the first podcast. How's that? How do you like the nickname?
You wouldn't believe the amount of people that's all they call me now.
Yeah, it's the Dream.
Yeah, as soon as they say it, it's just, hey, Dream, how's it going?
Yeah.
Not my name, but all right.
That's my brother knows you as the Dream. So
I don't even know your brother.
Yeah, I was talking to Sergeant Weaver the other day, and he's like, the Dream?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, the Dream. So
someone's dream.
Yeah. So 12 of these bad boys. Actually, I think we had a little extra special edition one once in there. So we may actually have 13, but 12 really. Hey, if you're liking it, please hit that subscribe button. And Josh and I just talked about that. I have no idea what that does. But every podcast I listen to, they say, hey, hit the subscribe button. But really, it helps you find the podcast easier, I guess. And it tells you when we got a new one showing up. And I don't know, maybe.
We're pretty consistent, though, on when we release it. So
yeah,
you should just know the Wednesday before the UTA, it's coming out.
It's coming out. So, hey, this is a great UTA, too. Hopefully, we're going to have a little bit better weather. We're recording this one a little bit earlier just because of spring break and some vacations and stuff like that and who we wanted to have on. But a lot of things going on in the April UTA. You have that speed mentoring at lunchtime. So go over there, get some people to look at your career and kind of help you through, maybe get an outside look at things, someone that's not in your direct chain of command. So maybe get a different perspective on your career. So that's awesome. You got the Sapper 0.5K, always fun.
There's donuts.
Yeah, it is literally a cookout followed by a 0.5 K walk that
or
ends
run.
Or run. Last year it was in the rain. That ends with donuts. So
No. Doesn't end with donuts.
Starts with donuts.
No, donuts are halfway, so you can
right.
carb load as you're. Yeah.
They do that because we get a little tired if you start cramping. There's a donut there for you, and so go over there, get registered, and come out and support this great event. And the team over there is doing amazing things and a lot of fun. There's the LORS assumption of command. So get out and see that. The step 2 packages are due. So something that's not so fun to talk about, I guess, or it could be fun if you get promoted. But let's get those turned in and let's recognize the airmen that deserve to be promoted to the next rank. The Final Four. Final Four is this weekend. It has nothing to do with the UTA, but is also very fun.
My favorite time of year.
Yeah, and very encouraging. March has been maddening. I mean, the madness is on high this year. And then SOAR. So the chapel staff puts on a great lunch and learn opportunity for you to come out and get some new topics and sit around and talk and fellowship. So check those things out. Have fun at this April UTA. We have there are, I think, last UTA may have been the first one, but the first time since I've been here was last UTA that we had 0 restrictions. No mask, no testing, no nothing. Just show up and let's get after it. So, and let's get after our first guest here. Or our only guest.
I was going to say, I think you're making this longer than what I thought it was going to be. But
yeah, that's usually what I do. I've got a gift for that. So, last year we started this podcast with Colonel Pemberton, and he showed up here about a year ago, and it returned here from being gone for about 10 years. And so we're going to get into talking to him on how he feels like it's going and where he feels like it's going. So here we go. All right, Colonel Pemberton, welcome to the second time. You're a repeat podcast guest. So, sir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm surprised you asked me back, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I thought I did so poorly last time that I'm like, we don't want him
Are
again.
you surprised that we asked you back, or are you surprised that we're still doing this? Like, which?
No, I think it's still good that you're doing this because you've highlighted just a lot of the fantastic people we have in this wing and highlighted the amazing jobs that they're doing and the accomplishments that they're doing and the just what makes Grissom such a great place to work and just what makes the 434 such a great wing.
Well, thank you for that. So a year ago, we had you here.
Been a year already?
Yeah, it has.
Wow.
It has. It's been a year. And, you had just came back here from being gone for a little over 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
you took some journey around Africa at different places and took, I think, a staff job in there and then a couple other, like a wing commander job, group job, and a couple
right.
other jobs. And so you got back here and I think there was a couple different pieces for you. It was professionally, it was kind of a lateral move, right? Because you'd already done wing commander.
Sure.
But it also, took you to, this was going to be your final tour before you retire. Have you given that any second thoughts? Or are you still going to retire?
Second thoughts, I'm still going to retire, yeah. It's just, I guess would be what day will I retire? As we get closer, boy, I'm telling you, Chief, this is getting tougher and tougher.
We'll get into that. So hold that thought. So we'll get into how my comment of, hey, could we just make it to next week, sir? Like, can we make a decision next week? But so you came back here not just for that, but also, family. You're from here.
Right.
And you brought back for a family. So how has that met that expectation of coming back?
It has, because we've been able to get closer to close to my son before he passed, closer to my daughter and our new grandson.
Mm-hmm.
So with them being down the road, that's been a true blessing. And then with my father-in-law and mother-in-law, that my father-in-law just passing away, that has allowed us to be closer to them and visit them a little bit more and put some. Rekindle some relationships. So yeah, absolutely. That goal has been met, if you will.
Yeah. So homecoming, if you will, and it's neat to kind of go with you out to lunch or different things. I spoke this over the last summer. I think it was last summer at your sister-in-law Terry's.
Yeah, my sister-in-law's
and everyone
family.
seems to know you in the different places. And then we were eating yesterday, and someone come up and was like, "Thom Pemberton, man,
Delbert Metter, what a great guy.
Yeah.
He was a great person for many years, participating here in the safety office. And yeah,
so I'm sure all of that, we got some greatness there. But you came back at a time where, we were in the middle of COVID. And we came back and I remember you and I talking like when we first got here, I was like, hey, I think we're on the back end of this. I think we're on the up and up.
We're almost done with this now.
Yeah, man, did we underestimate that whole
deal? So
you
said I made a lateral from the wing commander to wing commander. The only difference is I was not the installation commander at my last wing commander job. So when you step into the role now, you're an installation commander, a little bit more different spin to it because you own, that knife cuts both ways.
Yeah.
You own now the base and you have to make the decisions for the base proper. So it's a little bit more detailed, I guess. A little bit more responsibility, I guess.
So you step into it. COVID.
Step into it is a good word. That's a good way to put it.
To describe it. The COVID kind of ups and downs, and hey, we're out of it. We're back in it. We're out of it. We're back in it. Even to the point of just a few months ago in February, we had our highest COVID numbers, that we've ever had, and then here we are a few months later, and we have, we just talked about in the opening is we have no restrictions. On the base. And then, we've got that. And then we had Corporal Sanchez, of course, the tragedy of that, but being able to welcome him home, but just the reminder of what we do and the impact of things. Let
me tell aside on that, Chief. I was so proud of the base for doing that, hosting him and his family here. We really honored him and his family very well. And just seeing everyone lining the streets. Excuse me. Seeing everybody lining the streets as he goes to lay to rest. That was humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just that, but the community, and we talk about that a lot is
all the way over.
People who haven't really been outside of Grissom don't understand that every community is not this supportive.
Yep.
Right. There's other communities that Corporal Sanchez could have came back to that
they wouldn't have cared.
Maybe they wouldn't have cared.
Who's that? Oh, we don't know
and
who
so
that is.
The way the community, just lined the road, and I think the motorcycle procession behind the funeral
45 minutes of
45 minutes of motorcycles, and they talked about when he had reached the Logansport, the motorcycle procession was just ending here, and so that was that line of
just amazing
that, and so. That community outreach. And then also there's 2 bridges, I think, over by Logansport that are named after him already. And so of those pieces, we had the COVID vaccine that it caused some stress in a lot of airmen life. And we had the KC-46 site survey that came out to see if we were the best base for KC-46 that came out. It was highs and lows. Right. Yeah. It was hey, you guys are great. You're doing great. Look, this place looks great and everything. And then you get the KC-46 decision, which comes out and kind of a shocker to all of us that, hey, we're not number 1 on that list. You have, A1 saying, hey, we have these amount of positions that are going away. And then, no, they're not going away, but yeah, they are going away. And no, they're not. And still really don't have that solved other than the fact that we feel like they're safe right now. For the piece, you had, we had 2 suicides in the time of year. We had several deaths of family members that, a couple from COVID and stuff like that. And then what you talked about, the tragedies of, your son passing and then your father-in-law also passing. And that's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
It would seem.
And on top of that, we had, the Snowvid 22 where, it's the base and, hey, we've got a mission that we need to continue to run. How do we do that? And so how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. You have to have coping mechanisms, right? As you go through. And I, just like other folks on this base, I've been taking advantages of the available resources that we have. Erin Michael Jolliffe, she's on speed dial. She calls me, checks in with me every once in a while. I call her, talk to her. It's been very helpful. Chaplain Campbell stops by every once in a while to say, hey, how you doing, kind of thing. You and I have a great relationship. I think, as we've said before, when you are around somebody long enough, you can sense pretty quickly that, hey, there's something going on today. And maybe we need to go, hey, you all right? What's going on? Let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's go to lunch, something like that. So just working those coping mechanisms.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So what is, what's your coping mechanism? Like, do you have a routine that, when you're in this routine, you're like, hey, this is, I know that if things are going well, I'm okay to maybe be out of that routine a little bit. But if things go wrong, I got to be in this.
I would say my biggest routine has been running for me.
Yeah,
getting out in the morning and running.
And you're interesting, Josh. And I'm not a big runner, anyways. But it's interesting is he runs with no music, and he's
got to be quiet.
He said it's just your thoughts, right?
Just my thoughts. I like to hear the nature. I like to hear the sounds of things. Yeah.
How do you hear it over your head? The heavy breathing, like that for me.
That was my question.
Like I would just hear my own wheezing and be like, "Am I really breathing that loud?" So,
I really like to be able to do that. It's not like I get up in the morning and go, "Oh, right, I get to go run today." No, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna run today because that's my routine. Because I really think it affects your mental health when you're not using that as a routine, as in a lifestyle, right? Because I noticed, remember I had the cancer on my face and I went through all that. I forgot about
you
surgery,
had cancer at this point through the year too. That's a big one. I mean.
And that put me out of running for, several months. The doc's like, nope, I don't want you to run.
I remember that. Yep.
Activity like that at all.
And you were pretty religious about it before.
I was. And I'm telling you, it's been tough to get back into it. I will be completely honest with you. But it is, yeah, you have to make it part of your lifestyle, because I do notice it. I remember years ago when I broke my leg and I couldn't run for, several months. And my wife's like, "You're kind of mean today. What's going on?" I'm like, yeah, I think I know what's going on. It's because I haven't been able to get out and exercise, and that makes a difference.
So you talked a little bit about the relationship that you and I have, and I value that, and
as do I, Chief.
I value the ability to be able to walk into your office, and there's been a couple times this year where for you, I think it's more of a I'll come in, and if you don't hear from me, or you don't hear me running my mouth to somebody, is you'll come in, or if my door doesn't open on the other side, the door to the hallway doesn't open, is you come in with your cup of coffee and you sit down on the couch and you sit across from me and you're like, "Okay, how we doing?" Like a little vector check here, like are you got something that you're working on, or is something working on you?
Right.
And I value that, and you always seem to know the right direction to push me after that, whether it's hey, you need to dig in here, or you need to, maybe you need to take some time off and reset. And there's been a few times where I've been able to come into your office and
return the favor, right?
It's usually a, "Hey, have you been able to run?" It's
Did you run today?
Yeah. Did you run today? No. It's kind of showing. It's a little bit. Yeah. It's coming out a little bit here, and so, how do you think for our team, for our Grissom team, they can have this relationship? Because I think some of it is, we've of the stress of the base and pieces of that, but we also both have office jobs.
We do
that we can walk back and forth, and there's days where we work through lunch, but there's a lot of days that we get to go to lunch together, and so we get to know each other a little better that way. But what about for that first term supervisor that's out there maybe, and he's like, "Yeah, that's great. It works well for the colonel and the chief, but how am I supposed to do that when, I show up on the UTA and I've got an airman?" How do you see that going? Or do you have suggestions for that?
So I would say yes. First off is tap into those resources that we have available, right? From the chaplain's office to the DPH to several of the senior leaders and the chiefs around here that we have that'll go, "Hey, you all right?" and sit down and talk with them. But
how do they develop that part, right? So I think that's the initial piece is, how do you develop that relationship
with those individuals, or with
with your members, your peers, your subordinates, that piece when you're out here, a UTA?
Yeah, I would say, to me, it starts out by being humble to go, "You know what? I don't have all the answers here, and let's go and find somebody that might be able to give us some answers, and I'll walk with you." All right.
Yeah.
And that may be you saying, "I have some of these issues, and I need to be humble here and go, I don't have all the answers. I need some help." And it doesn't matter what level you're at. That is a challenge for some people, right? I will say it was a challenge for me going through the death of my son. And as you know, it was very difficult for me to go, when people wanted to start bringing out food for me and things like that. That's not me. I don't ask for help like that, right? So that was very tough for me. And then, and I will say, you pointed out to me, Chief, don't rob somebody else's chance of giving a blessing to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're right. Thom, shut up, listen, and do what, allow those people to show love and care and support for you.
Yeah.
So I'm not turning it back to that, but I'm just saying that it is difficult, no matter what position you're in,
to build that
relationship, or to be humble and say, "You know what? I need to look for those." Reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not of weakness.
Yeah. And so you look at these things and you're like, okay, at an airman level or at a young officer level is, we stood up there at the last commander's call and we talked about, readiness.
Yeah.
right? And so
Probably made a few people mad, I guess, when we started there.
Yeah, maybe got a little bit under the skin there. But you talk about readiness, and it's like, hey, when my airman shows up, they need to go get their physical or their labs done.
Right.
They got to do a fitness test. I need them to do their PME. I need them to do this. I need them to do that. But then when that airman comes in, and they, maybe they can tell something's off. For you and I, it's one thing because, if you tell me to go home, I don't have any other bosses. Leah's the only one that she could be like, no, you go back to work. But which Leah's my wife. But for the first line supervisor,
right?
They may not have that opportunity to say, hey, you need to take time here. You need to. So where do you prioritize that? How do you prioritize that? I guess is if I'm trying to frame this question right, is just where does it fit in the mission? Where does our airmen fit in their mental health, their well-being, where does it fit in?
It is key to everything. I mean, if we don't have our airmen with their mind in the game and their readiness, right? Yeah. Their spiritual, mental, everything, they're a detriment to me for the mission, right? Because they can't concentrate. If I have a maintainer out there that can't concentrate, he could get hurt pretty quick. Yeah. That would hurt me very much if I'm not setting the stage and setting it right and leading by example to go, hey, we have these resources available to you, use them. Because your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Absolutely as important. And that has to be a priority, just like the mission does. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. I want to make sure that, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I think, maybe the question is more how do we empower supervisors to be able to make certain decisions?
Yeah, so we went to the Chick-fil-A training.
Right.
So Josh and I had the privilege of going down and with the FSS, and they were getting customer service training from Chick-fil-A.
It was great training,
it was phenomenal training.
Great training.
And so the guy, the manager there said, hey, we empower every employee to delight. They have the power to delight. So if they meet a customer that is having a rough day, if their order got wrong, if they just seem like they're off, is they have the power to delight. They can give them a free drink or a free, shake or something like that. How do we empower our airmen to delight? How do we empower, that, like what you were saying, that first line supervisor to say, hey, this is what you can do to help someone that's going through this, because they may not have a first line supervisor may not have the power to say, hey, you know what, you need to go home and take the day off. That may not be within their scope of capabilities.
True. That's where I think in case of maintenance, that's where flight chiefs come in. That's where the superintendents come in. It's where even the commander can come in and you can talk with the commanders. I think all the commanders have an open door policy that, hey, you can come in and talk to them. And it may be so that first line supervisor may not be able to go home for the weekend, but they may be able to go, hey, at lunch, I want you to go by and stop by and talk to Aaron Michael Jolly for 30 minutes or so.
To go to that.
Or you and I, let's on our way back from lunch over the DFAC, let's go by and just talk to her for a few minutes, all right? There's ways that you can do insert yourself and insert those resources, or at least highlight those resources to those individuals that might need that help.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to knowing them, right? Right. Is if we go back to the empowered to delight, right? Is I think we talked about it as it's hey, the Tech Sergeant Weaver here is having a bad day. Here's your milkshake, and he's like, that's perfect because I'm lactose intolerant, right? It's knowing people is really what it takes. It takes that knowing them, knowing what fills them up, right, and knowing what values they value. So for you, what recharges your batteries?
So like I say, running does for sure. My faith, does, recharges my batteries. My grandson, my kids, talking with my kids. You brought it up last time, video games. I do like to do a little video game once in a while. Just by myself. I don't like to get online and do all that stuff. I just like to...
First person shooter kind of guy?
Yeah. So it allows me to kind of, take my mental health and go, let's set that over here for a while, so I can just relax a little bit. Talking with my wife, doing stuff around the house. I'm not a big hobby guy. I don't collect things or anything like that, but, and then just talking with friends and things like that.
What about you, Sergeant Weaver? What's the recharge button?
I obviously knew you were going to ask me this since we talked about it earlier, and I told you I don't know. I don't know.
He does anytime he says I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's cool. I'll ask you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I have no response. Thank you. No, I honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the recharge is. I think
we talked about this a little bit too. Is a lot of times people, they see us, they see me, and they're like, man, that guy talks to everyone. He's an extrovert. You know, I've been described as an extroverted extrovert, right? But if you look at what recharges me, for me, I love you give me working on a vehicle, or a good home project, but something where I'm working with my hands and nobody else has to be there. I love it if my boys or my wife wants to, and sometimes my wife just comes out and sits, and we may talk and we may not. It may just be like, tell me the tools that you need me to go get. And it just, we talked about, a lot of people see, like, I've got that 53 Ford and they're like, that I built, and everybody's like, oh, that's a neat truck. And it's, 5.0 all-wheel drive, but they don't see that was, a time of my life that was super stressful. And that truck provided me so much recharging. Like, so much recharging. And I think for you.
So I'm going to answer that for Josh, if you don't mind.
Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, boy.
So as you know, you and I will both come to them, to PA, and go, hey, we got this idea. We got this. Hey, can you do this video, do this? And each and every time they deliver just like that. And I'm blown away by what I see. And I'm like, wow, he is really talented at this. He's really good at that. So I would almost say that your work in doing that is almost a release for you, Josh, because you're really good at it.
I appreciate that. And it can be if we're, I've actually never thought about it that way. It's kind of if I've got a big video to edit, that is kind of hey, if I can shut the door.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I've told this story before, but so when I was active duty, my last base, my office was in the very back of the building. So of our office. So if you didn't see me in the morning, we could go a whole day and you'd be like, oh, is Weaver even here today? And I've been in that. And when I would edit videos, I would shut the door so people would leave me alone while I was doing it. And my LT put a note on the door one day that just said M&M's in the lab.
Yeah.
And so that became the running joke that M&M's back in the lab, leave him alone.
Yeah.
So I do probably use that as some form of stress release. And I do work with my hands a lot, but I'm the same way as you, where I can talk to anyone. But in those times, I do like to be by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think you and I you probably don't know this joke, but Pammy and I will, yesterday you had on your, it was a little bit of older rock music, but some 80s.
Classic rewind.
Yeah, there was some 80s rock music going on in there. And I said, oh, Pammy, he's got Friday music on and it's Thursday. It's going to be a good Friday. Music is a bit, and that's for me when
that's a big outlet for me too. Yeah. You're right. I like to have music, and there's a series that called From the Earth to the Moon, and there was a secretary that put the different pictures of her boss on the wall, and that would determine what mood the member that he was in for the day. So people come in and she'd have the picture of him with a stern face, and people would walk away going, no, not the day to talk to him.
That's you in music.
So that's me in music,
right?
So you come in and, hey, I hear classical in today. Oh, he's in that kind of a mood today. Oh, he's got bluegrass playing today. Oh, okay, I get, But so
I feel like the classical is more, we're thinking through some stuff, right? With you. And then that rock is, hey, we're getting everything done because we're about to pull chocks and something good's going to happen. So I know, you've got a vacation coming up. So
I hope.
Yeah.
Told Don, I said, I'll believe it when we're sitting on the boat. So,
yeah.
So when you hear heavy metal, that's the, hey, don't go in there today.
He's not a heavy metal guy. Yeah. He's not a heavy metal. So
well, maybe you just haven't been there for that mood yet.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. Sergeant Saunders always gets a little worried when he comes up and hears banjos. He's like, he's always like,
I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know what this means. Yeah. He's like, he's not familiar with banjos. So, so I think all of us have to find some type of release.
Do.
And it seems like the older you get, the more you recognize it, and I look at that sometimes back in, my 20s and 30s. And I'm like, man, if I would have recognized how to actually take out my stress in a positive manner, and there's boundaries, right?
Sure.
There's boundaries I set, like for me is if I'm having a rough day or a rough time in our life is I don't drink any alcohol. Look, it's just a boundary that I set is I don't ever want it to be I've had a rough day. I need a drink.
Right.
I don't need a drink. I need to figure some things out. I need to relax. Are there any boundaries that you've set that you're like, hey, when I'm in this mood?
I wouldn't say boundary as such. I'm the other way, that the days that I don't want to go running are the days that I absolutely need to go running. Go, you know what? I really don't feel like it. I got to go run today because I don't feel like it. And I always feel better at the end of that. But boundaries, there's, if I'm upset or something and I'm drafting an email, I won't send it. I'll shrink it down and I'll come back to it maybe a couple hours later and go, I don't really want to say it that way.
There's several times you and I both have said, we've got those screens in our office.
Come read this email before I push send that because I don't want to send the wrong message.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Read this and see what my tone says.
Yeah. And talking with my wife on things, you know what, honey, I've had a bad day. Give me about half hour before I start engaging on things, And, I come home and she'll go, hey, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, I made about 25 decisions today, and I really don't want to make another decision.
Yeah, 26 may send me over the edge.
Yeah, you make one today.
I need you to decide.
Like, and she can see that now. She goes, you know what? I'm not going to ask. Well, we're going to do this. All right.
It's funny you say that because there's times where, same way with Leah is I'll call her. She's like, how's your day? And I said, I'm ready to come home, but I don't want to make any decisions. And she'll be like, okay.
I understand that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then usually I get upset while we're eating for dinner. No, I'm just kidding.
But I think it takes some time, like going to see Erin, right?
Yeah.
And she sits down and she can point out those things because there are times when we're so close to it that, hey, something's wrong here. I don't see it. And then you can talk to her and Erin go, man, have you tried this?
Yeah.
Have you tried this? Because this is what I'm seeing. You're like, you're right. That is exactly what's going on right now in my head, and I need to do that. So I think we can get so close to that problem and so close to ourselves that we're not seeing what's going on in ourselves, that it takes some of those people, a friend, a supervisor, first-term supervisor, or just a coworker to go, hey, man, you all right?
Yeah, that was not a proper response that you just had.
Like,
I call it taking the hand away from the face. I heard an analogy one time is if you took your hand and you put it, you're out at arm's length. I guess your hand's always at arm's length, but if you just straighten your arm, right?
Words of wisdom.
Deep thoughts. If you straighten your arm and you've got your hand out there, and if you're in a room and everything in the room is the rest of the world, and your hand is your problems. When your arm's straight out, is you can still see the rest of the room. But if you take those problems or you take your hand and you bring it right up to your eyes,
that's all you can see.
That's all you can see.
Yeah.
You cannot see any of the rest of the room. And we used to in the last position I was in, and the human performance team that I worked with is we would say, hey, we need to get the hand away from the face. Like this, it seems like it's a really big deal. And sometimes it is a really big deal. You talked about, your son passing. Oh, that probably slams that hand in your face.
Yeah.
Your father-in-law just passed. Like that slams the hand in the face. And we've got to have those pieces built in to where we say, okay, how do I get this hand away from my face? Because I'm making decisions based off of I can't see anything.
True, but I think the first step is you got to recognize that the hand is in front of your face, right? And that's where a lot of people have problems. And I've had problems like that. Recognize that hand is in front of your face, and okay, I acknowledge it's there. Now, what I need to do to get it away from and see the bigger picture here.
How do I straighten my arm?
Right.
Not put it at arm's length. Josh, that was a bad analogy.
But you also have to have, if you have good enough relationships with other people, they're the ones that help you realize that your hand is that close.
Yeah, they start peeling a finger off, and they're like, hey, you see us over here? Like,
Well, and we meet every week with our airmen going out to the door, right?
Yeah,
for BMT.
on Tuesdays.
And what do I tell them every week? We are wingmen. We watch out for each other. And I don't just say that. Those aren't just words.
Right.
We live by those things, right?
Yeah.
Because I have people here that will check in on me. Hey, how you doing? And I try to do the same. I reach out to them, go, you know what? You just didn't seem yourself today, and I just want to make sure you're okay.
I have a running relationship with someone that's a TR that's in this wing because of walking by them over at the DFAC one time and saying, hey, how's your morning going? And they were like, There's it. So now we have and I would say
conversation starter.
Yeah. And it was like I'm walking and I'm like, it's kind of, it's raise an eyebrow, and then I turn around and I go, why? Nah, just stuff going on.
Anything I can help with?
What stuff? Like, and it was, we ended up having a great, to where the crazy thing is, and we're both big on our faith, and this is where I think, God does some crazy things.
Yep.
Is the crazy thing is I was going through a stressful time here, and that airman reached out to me on a text and just said, hey, how's it going? And I was like, and it was the follow-up of, why just
right?
Like, what can we do to help? And I'm like, I don't know if there's anything to do, maybe, and I can pray for you. Just knowing that you cared enough to follow up with me.
Take the time to take the effort to take time to pray for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and we talk about those pillars all the time, right? And it's when that hand gets close to the face, pillars start suffering. It's that physical pillar. We stop running, right? Because all we can see is, I need to solve this problem. I need to solve this problem.
But I think the solution to that problem is to getting back into those foundational things, to get in your mental health and make sure that that's good, and your physical health and make sure that's good. And those, I think, are foundational to solving some of those problems, or at least facing them. Yeah.
Yeah. On the backside of that, there's been a lot of good things that happened too.
There has.
This wing has been, I think I can speak for both of us, it's been a blessing to both of us.
I think it has.
And even, through some of the tragedies, through some of the stress, we've seen a lot of growth. Yeah. I love post-traumatic, there's post-traumatic stress, which most people are familiar with. Is post-traumatic growth is usually some of the best growth that you have in your life, but also in a wing is, watching these airmen come together over this last year. Do you have anything that sticks out to you? I know you just brought up the Corporal Sanchez piece was.
Oh, that was huge.
And I think needed in the middle of a time where, we were losing focus on.
Had a lot of people that were confused, a lot of people that are upset.
Yep.
I think it helps prioritize, okay, here's what really matters.
Yeah.
And here's a family that lost their loved one. You know what? My spilling the coffee on my pants today, that's not so big.
Yeah.
So I can get over that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not demeaning anybody's issue that they're going through, but it does help prioritize things.
Because we talk about this a lot too, is stress is relative, right, to the person that has it.
Correct.
And so, you go through one of these family tragedies or loss, I may be going through, a flat tire or, trying to get a bill paid.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, your stress is way greater.
It's that story you relate about the kid where you just had that issue, the severe family issue, and that kid said he was getting kicked off of his gaming team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it is all relative.
And he was ready
that's
to end
my
it.
world.
Yeah.
And you and I may not understand that, but to him, it's very, very real. And so we have to understand that everybody's stress is relative. But I think it gets back to the foundational things of if you can stick to those foundations, whatever that stress is relative to you, I think you can work through some of those things if you know what resources you have available and use them.
So I shared a devotional with you this morning about thankfulness, right?
Yeah.
Timing on it too, right?
Very good timing.
Yeah. And so we had just had some conversations, and so we talked about that. So what are some pieces over this last year that you're thankful for being here, Chris?
How much time do we have?
Yeah, as much as you do.
I'm thankful for many, many things. I'm thankful for guys in the office, the gentlemen in the office that are other Christians that we can sit and pray with before we go to a meeting, or if we're going through a stressful time or just going out to lunch. I'm thankful for the many folks that I've learned to have had friends over the years at this base that have reached out to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Checking in. I was humbled and blown away by the number of calls, emails, texts, flowers, food, you name it, that we received after my son's passing. I was blown away. I didn't know what to say. And it was, as you say, or as I told you, it's hard for me to accept that. But I think it was a healing thing to say, hey, there's people that you don't even know that are thinking about you and praying for you right now. And I'm like, wow, that blew me away.
Right.
So there's some goodness that come from that. I think as we talked about, we mentioned that the way my son was died, the circumstances surrounding that can lead to goodness for, in this case, a potential occupation or job for your son.
It's so weird.
It is so weird, right?
And weird, I guess, is thankful. Is it asked me a favor of me, and I went and did that thing, which led to a relationship with someone that then turned around and now.
And the guy goes, "Hey, you said your son's wanting a job. Hey, here you go." Wow.
And so
that's good.
Through this whole process, your child being affected, my child may forever also be affected, from this. And those pieces of thankfulness that if we only focus, if the hand is so close to the face, we miss some of these. We miss things like, our IGI is one of the best is the best in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fire department, best in Africa. It's our FSS. We watched I believe a watermark moment in 434th FSS was their annual tour that they just did after the last.
It was very structured. It was very, it was action packed.
We started with a group run.
Right.
So we went out and the Marines give some
little warm ups with the Marines and the PT in the morning.
Yeah. Did some PT with the Marines. Just you name it. And that watermark moment, it's, the changes and the goodness for AMDS, that their work, that the amount of work that we put on them with the COVID pieces, and then still maintaining all these other
all the other things that they have to do, the PHAs and the normal vaccinations that they have to go through, and the documentation that all goes with it, and still try to keep all, they have lots of eggshells that they have to walk on too, with the HIPAA laws and things like that. That's challenging for them. Absolutely.
Our cyber warriors, changed their whole career field over this last year, changed their direction that they were at.
Well, it's interesting when you and I went yesterday to see the firefighters doing their, in that class training in the, over in the nose dock there. We took over the JAG with us, and I saw him later on the day. I said, "Hey, what'd you think?" And he goes, "That was awesome." He goes, I didn't realize little old Grissom here is training firefighters from around the country and around the world, for that matter.
Yeah.
And he goes, I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Advanced firefighter survival.
Advanced firefighter survival. Exactly right.
Things that you would think you would need in firefighting. Survival. Yeah.
And we're lucky enough to go over, and I'm thankful enough to go over and present some of them their graduation certificates this afternoon. That is, it's humbling to me.
We did a CCAF graduation.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
How
amazing.
many people that we had that come up on that stage?
It
And
was
got
like
their,
90 people that we had,
gosh.
and that graduated CCFs.
I felt dumb.
Yeah,
I felt dumb with all these people
yeah.
walking across the stage with their
and
degrees.
And again, I caught a lot of flack because I talked to almost every person that came up. But there was a lot of people that we talked through that process of just meeting them on stage where their career paths will probably change because of that short little handshake conversation. Of, hey, is this what you do on the outside? No, I'm actually a pilot. Why don't you fly for us? Well, I really want to, but I don't know how. Hey, see me afterwards.
I know a guy.
I got a guy that can help you with that, right? And just all kinds of different. What do you do on the outside? I'm a nurse. Well, you work in comm. Like, do you want to work at our hospital? Yeah, I'd love to.
Boy,
just so happens I know the commander.
Yeah.
So, but we had that. We had our EOD. Responds to presidential support stuff. And people don't realize that is if the president comes anywhere near us, a state near us, they're doing the EOD, the bomb sweeping and stuff like that for it.
And I think we need to open up and ask our airmen about things like that, right?
Yeah.
And listen to them. They have great ideas. They have some awesome ideas,
And great careers.
And great careers. I mean, that tragedy that we heard when we were out at Raincross, when they mentioned there was a young airman from another base that said, you know what, I'm done. They don't ask me my opinion.
I can mention the base if you want to. It's not us.
The wing commander is probably a friend of mine. So,
yeah.
So, hey, I'm done here. They don't ask me my opinion on things. They don't, they never ask me.
I don't feel valued.
I don't feel valued, right? And then they come back and they find out the individual is the vice president of Hallmark greeting cards.
Yeah.
Wow. You think they've got something to say at the table? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a loss that is. And that's why it pains me when I see discharge packages come across my desk, because I think, you know what? I saw the look in their eyes when they were walking across that bomb run down at Lackland, and the pride and the excitement that they had. How did we go from there to this package I'm looking at? And I look at the mirror.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror and go, how did I fail this airman?
Yeah.
What did I do to put him in this position?
Or not value them.
Or not value them.
Yeah, because that's usually what it is they don't feel like their time is well spent out here.
Yes.
Right. But again, I mean, we could keep going on, the Airman and Family Readiness, the SAPA program, the emotional intelligence that's ran by Christy Shives and Amy Little. And just if you've not done that, I think there's an opportunity to do it. This UTA it is a virtual reality, emotional intelligence that it is phenomenal. It's interactive. It's great. You get over there, schedule your team for that. But, you got that. You've got, all the things that we asked Mr. Sampson to do with, the DFAC, the gym, bringing an archery range on.
All the FSS excursions they set up, horse riding and hang gliding and parachuting.
Yep.
My gosh.
Yeah. So Kelsey's doing a great job over there for outdoor rec, and Bruce at the gym, just all those pieces that we've done. Then on top of all that, we have a successful ops and maintenance deployment,
right?
That goes out the door, and those guys, some of them still downrange, but they're coming back to. We always, one of the speeches I give before they leave is General Scobie. Steal it from General Scobie is don't embarrass the patch, right? And they don't. They bring back more people that are like, hey,
they honor the patch and go, wow, those guys are pretty sharp.
Yeah, I'd like to, what's this Grissom all about? Because I worked with some of their people and things were phenomenal. And so there's all of these pieces, our aircrew flight equipment, is
Mike Pershing. Oh my gosh, he's been a phone friend for years.
Yeah, Senior Master Pershing is the guy that they call and say, hey, if we're going to set up something new, you're the man.
Yep.
You're the man for that. And so I think we look across this wing, and it's sometimes easy to, and when we look at our careers, sometimes it's easy to bring that hand up to the face and say, these are the things that are wrong with the Air Force that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm. But here's some things that are right with the Air Force we are right now.
Yeah, when we put that hand out at arm's length and we say, yeah, but look at all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all we've had the privilege of seeing in this last year, I think 2 of our airmen received their citizenship in the United States.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
that was
to
really
be a
cool.
part of that,
Yeah.
like to
that they'd want us to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right? That's even more impressive to me. So,
and I look at, Sergeant Weaver, that's the big part of your job, right?
Right.
Is, hey, how do I capture these things to where people see that there's value in what they're doing? They're not just, well, what do you do? Well, I just go out and I'm in transportation, or I'm in, LRS. I don't, well, you don't do anything with the airplanes? No. The heck you don't.
And that's the point that we make with our young airmen going out the door every week. It doesn't matter what job you have. It really doesn't. Okay, you're not a pilot, you're not a maintainer, doesn't matter. If we don't all pull together and do our individual jobs, those airplanes out there don't turn a wheel. There's no way. So we have every person, if I can try to emphasize that with our folks, every person that we have is so valuable to this wing as we've gone through this RER process.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to be as respectful and dignified to these folks, as all of our folks as we can, to say, look, whatever you decide, we're going to support you.
Yeah.
But in the end, I really don't want to lose you. You are valuable to our team. I want you around.
Yeah. And I think that's evident in some of the things, sir, is, some of our members that have made that tough decision,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're parting ways with the Air Force. And some people would look at that and they would be like, well, aren't you angry at those people? And then they come up. I mean, yesterday we received coins from
one of the members.
Yeah,
yes.
from one of the members.
Wow.
And was like, thank you for, respecting me and value. And it's just like, man, I feel terrible that we can't keep, but there's a whole nother world out there that, if we can just create great people, they're going to spread the word. And we continue to have great people here at Grissom.
We do.
And
so, we have to continue to nurture that, right?
Yeah.
And continue to push the education, push those opportunities to push us outside our comfort zone sometimes, right? Because that's how we grow. When we push us outside of, hey, this is all I've ever known. Well, maybe you ought to try this.
Yeah.
Maybe you're good at it. You never know.
So let's talk about that. We got an exercise coming up.
We do.
It's going to push us a little bit.
It will push us a little bit.
We're going to have to flex some muscles that we haven't flexed in a little bit.
And for some people, it'll be the first time they've flexed those muscles.
Yeah,
right. It'll be a crawl, walk, run.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of times it's easy to put that hand up to the face and say, hey, exercise. I'm super excited about throwing all my Kim gear on and getting super hot and annoyed at a lot of other people for not knowing what they're supposed to be doing.
But I tell you, when similar exercise they did last year in the summer, at the end of that exercise, I saw nothing but smiles.
Yeah, there was
this was great.
Yeah.
Even though they were sweating and things like going through those things.
Say you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
You put in a lot of negativity, you're going to get a lot of negativity out.
Right.
You put in a lot of, hey, this is the time for me to help other people that maybe this is their first time.
This is the time for me to get ready. So when that call comes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like we talked about last time. When our jam starts playing, we better be ready to dance.
Exactly. And it was pointed out to me yesterday, and I guess I had forgot it, that another member that had said, you know what, that was a great message on readiness. And I've really taken that to heart because I've gone through, I noticed that my will was not up to date and all those things. So I'm really trying to take that on myself. And he goes, because I remember but years ago when 9/11 happened, so it was an older gentleman.
Yeah.
He says, when we got mobilized, all of us that were ready to go and had all our stuff done, we were able to spend more time with our family. Those folks that didn't have all their stuff done were taken away from their family and spent most of their time getting ready, and they didn't have that time with their family. I'm like, that's significant.
So we got that exercise to look forward to, because again, that's some resemblance of a new normal, right? That we're getting back to. Community college, or there's Columbia College.
I hesitate to say normal, as I always say, normal is a setting on a washer or dryer.
Yeah.
But we start to get into some.
That's good. Yeah.
Some routine, right, and what we're used to in a routine. Yeah. So when we go through, the exercise, I think will give us a little bit more focus, and especially now we're getting hopefully in the backside of the COVID, where we're now at HPCon Alpha, and hopefully masks are in the rearview mirror. I don't know. I hope
hanging from the rearview mirror.
But we have spring coming up, which is awesome. Summer's coming up.
It doesn't feel real springy outside.
It
It's
doesn't
a little,
yet.
little chilly
but
outside.
we had a few days where it
Yeah,
was
we
up
did.
there, but that's Indiana.
Yeah.
But we have we're looking at doing a family day in the fall that we can bring the families out and celebrate with folks. We took the input that we had from our folks at the commander's call about UTAs and the super UTAs, and we're taking that input and we're using that to build the
Schedule for next year.
FY23 UTA schedule to go, hey, this is what people want. Let's deliver. So I think people will be surprised or happy with that.
Looking at doing like a dining in or there in February
We're
for
looking
an
at
awards board and
do
for
a
awards
combined dining in and quarterly annual awards banquet. With family and friends and so forth there.
We got Columbia College that has agreed to come out to, they're going to give courses on the base and so it'll be instruction opportunities for people who, are SMEs or can instruct at the college level. And then, I don't know if you saw that there, but I don't know what it takes to be a college instructor. So I just said that, whatever it takes.
I don't think it actually takes much. It's, not state funded. So
and is it a coincidence that Columbia College from Columbia, Missouri, the area where I'm from?
Yeah, weird.
It actually is. It is a coincidence. So, because Trumba's the one that came up with it. Sorry, Trumba's the one that did it.
Parks,
so,
he's there. Oh, we'll go there anyway, I guess.
Yeah, they were probably like, he's not educated. Why would we go there? Or maybe he needs to be educated. So let's go there. So we got the college coming here. A lot of, like you said, outdoor rec opportunities, horse riding. Hot air balloon rides and go-kart racing, which nobody's really beat me at yet. So a lot of
challenge
things,
accepted.
Yeah, bring it. A lot of things that are out there. So I wanted to end with some positivity and do a little something called favorites, if that's okay with you. So we'll kind of run down the list and we'll figure out what your favorite is of that. So we'll start simple, start slow. What's your favorite color?
I'd say my favorite color is red.
Red. The dream.
Right, it's red.
Yours is red too. Mine's
well,
silver.
Unless
right now.
you ask my daughter. If you ask my daughter, it's green. I'm not sure where that ever came from.
Because you're uniform all the time.
I guess. So for the last 7 years, my favorite color has been green.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So red, green.
Christmas.
Yeah. There you go. So
there you go.
What's your favorite genre of music?
That is a tough one because it depends on what mood I'm in, right?
Sir. It's going to get tougher.
I would say my always go back to is classical. I just love. I can let my thoughts drift in classical. So,
what about your favorite song?
That would be "Let's Get Together" by the Youngbloods.
Okay, you know that song, Josh?
I do not.
Yeah. Do you even know what genre it is?
That's an old '60s song.
I do not.
There you go. What's your favorite genre?
YouTube it.
I think it depends on the weather.
Yeah.
Like I would say most of the time I like don't judge here hair bands. Love hair bands.
Yeah.
But depending upon weather, I'll do country. I can do hair bands. I can do.
All right, I got to show my age. What's a hair band?
That's the 80s rock band that they do their hair all up. And
Okay, gotcha.
Kiss.
I didn't know if that was a different genre or what. So, all right.
Bon Jovi.
That was when I had hair too, by the way.
That was, you could have been in a hair band. And now hey, time's passed you.
You'll have to see me in my baby blue tux when I went to in my high school prom. So
all I can picture is Double Double right now.
Did you have
with hair?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
And my favorite song is going to be oddly specific. It is Knocking on Heaven's Door, Guns N' Roses. However, I can only watch it on YouTube because it's the Live in Tokyo version. It's about 13
really
minutes
specific
long.
version.
Yeah,
Wow.
very, very specific.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think my favorite genre is probably country, just because I love stories and I feel like every song tells a story. And then my favorite song also is kind of it goes back and forth. Like I would almost say Larry Fleet's "Where I Find God" right now is one of my favorites that probably gets played the most. But my all-time favorite is Leonard Skinner's "Simple Man."
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's
You know what you get when you play a country song backwards, right?
Yeah, you get
your wife back, your dog back, your car back.
You don't have a drinking problem. You don't have you have a job. All those things. What's your favorite type of food?
That's a tough one too because I love to eat. I love like the Japanese hibachi grill stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Love it.
Yeah. What about you?
Mexican.
Yeah.
I love Mexican.
Man, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't love me back often, but
we're right up there with been Asian food. So yeah, it's
I like Asian food a lot
I did too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love Mexican too.
what's your last meal? We talked about this. if you, I don't know why that is so. Like if you had a last meal, like
If I had a last meal.
yeah, what would it be?
That's a stab in the dark. I don't know. Steak, probably a nice steak.
Yeah,
I could go with a good steak too.
that's what I would have said too. I got on Prime 47 the other day, and it was a big old steak.
Yeah.
That thing was so good. So
You just swallowed really hard, like your mouth's watering. Yeah. It's 9:48 in the morning.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
time
What time is it? Lunchtime already?
All right, this is a very difficult one, I'm sure too. What's your favorite podcast?
Oh, of course, fuel is.
All
Right?
right.
Right? Come on now.
Josh, what's your favorite? it's not fuel. Like that's all he listens to is podcasts.
It is all I listen to. I don't know. I go back and forth between the Bill Simmons podcast and the Ryan Russillo podcast. They're both just sports podcasts.
Right now, my favorite is, and I jump all around, but Smartless with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. There's no thought process to it at all.
There's none. I did listen to the one you sent me, and maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much. I need some intelligence to go into it.
There was no intelligent.
I need some substance there. There was none.
There was no intelligent life form whatever. It literally is a bunch of people just laughing like this, like it, not like this. So
That's funny. I see some of those. Watch YouTube every once in a while, and then some of the stuff that pops up and it says it's time to leave Earth, and you see some of the things, the crazy stuff people are doing. I'm like, yep, okay, time to leave Earth.
Yeah. We'll go with this one to kind of wrap it up. Is what's your favorite place to vacation?
I would say right now it's probably when us going down in the Caribbean, doing a cruise or something like that in the warm weather.
You're talking about not making any decisions. The cruise, the toughest decision is: do I go back through the food line, or
do I have
the answer is always
fish
yes,
or steak for lunch? What should I do?
Both.
And to that one, the answer is yes.
Yes. Exactly.
What about you?
Valdez, Alaska. Yeah,
I've never been there.
Oh, you are missing out.
It's pretty up there because we went up to Kodiak up there here last May when we went up and saw our IRC folks up there, and they were just
when you said we, as I was scheduled on that, but
sorry,
I got bumped.
It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, and it's seriously, it's like a different world.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few people.
See, but I'm a hot person. I'm a hot and sun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're talking weather-wise.
Can't always be hot and sun, though. So we did our 30-year anniversary, and we went to Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I love Scotland.
Awesome. 2 weeks in Scotland.
Yeah.
And ending it on the last night was the Royal Military Tattoo in the Edinburgh Castle.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What a great trip that was.
So I know Sergeant Weaver is just like me, and he's thinking that you have a tattoo.
Whoa. Yeah.
Royal Military Tattoo. It's when the different bands and different marching pipe and drum bands that participate and come up and perform.
In our heads, we pictured a tattoo convention where everybody was getting
tattoos. You will not find a tattoo on this body.
That's
you will not find a tattoo.
He's got a tattoo of Ireland somewhere.
No.
So all right. For me, I'm a any hot and sunny with a beach, and so. I like Cancun, but we did a couple cruises I've actually done one cruise, but a couple cities down south, and I loved it. So,
I would say my instead of saying warm places, I would say any place where I go with my wife.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be Scotland. That could be because there are places I've been in the military and go, man, I wish my wife were here seeing this because she would love this.
Well, I can appreciate that. And knowing Dawn, I'm sure she appreciates it too. And Josh and I both appreciate you getting us in trouble with our wives.
I'm glad that you brought it up because that's how I'm sitting here going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That was great.
Well, you know what though? Valdez is her favorite place to vacation too. So boom, got it. You're in trouble. We're not.
I love you, Leah. That's all I'm really going to say. Sir, we end this with what you're loving. But before we end it, I just want to say I appreciate it. We talk about it a lot. I value our friendship.
I do as well, Chief.
I value the mentorship that you've given it and the direction that's
come both ways, though, right? Yeah. It's come both ways.
And I look forward to another year.
I do as well. I'm looking forward to where, as you and my men of faith, looking forward to seeing where God's going to take this wing.
Yeah. So, what are you loving?
Right now, I'm just loving that it's coming time that I'm going to be getting on a plane going down to Miami to jump on a boat.
Favorite song, leaving on jet plane right now.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just loving being the wing, being the humbling experience and the opportunity to lead the men and women of this wing. And that has what kept me going.
Yeah.
I guess there are days when I'm like, crap, I'm not feeling well. I don't like this. But they expect me to come in and run this wing. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And just getting in that routine. So.
Sergeant Weaver?
Okay, so I've got two because the first one I'm not going to fully say because I don't want to jinx it because like you said at the beginning of the podcast, we're doing this early.
Stand by for some type of sports analogy.
It is a sports. It does have to do with sports. So first off, Kentucky lost. So awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Doug Hayes, Public Affairs, Josh's boss, who's a big Kentucky fan.
But the other part of that is there's another team that's playing in Sweet 16 tonight. Not going to say names, nothing. Their colors are black and gold. So loving the little run that's happening right now. Yeah. And the other part of it is actually still to do with basketball is my daughter started taking one-on-one lessons and she's 7 years old. I'm sitting here watching her Wednesday night and I'm going, I don't want to get my hopes up here, but holy smokes, can she handle the ball for a 7-year-old?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this may be our shot. This is our shot.
This is my retirement right there.
7 years old, she can cross over, dribble with both hands, and she's even hitting on a 10-foot goal, and she's like 3.5
Josh
feet
is
tall.
watching the Final Four to see where his daughter's going to go to college.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So
mapping
you got
it out for her.
Yeah. You got the women's Final Four next weekend too. So, just basketball right now. It's my favorite time of year.
For me, we talked a little bit about it yesterday is, Brady, it was kind of having a tough time, and it's part of that being 18 and learning life and stuff. And as I don't love it because the hand gets really close to the face in the middle of it, I love how our family grows and grows together and helps us. When one person struggles in our family, I feel like we all learn.
Right.
And we all come out better on the other side. So I'm loving that right now. So, nothing that draws a family together more than 9.5 hours in a vehicle. So that's what we're going to do.
Have fun.
Yeah. I'll turn the radio off. It will set in silence.
He's touching me. He's touching me.
Yeah.
Get in your own space.
Yeah.
Silent game.
We have very large vehicles for that reason. It's one that they don't even get to sit in the same row. It's like one of you sits the second, one sits in the third. You're not even on the same side of the vehicle. So, well, sir, thanks a lot for taking time out of your
Chief.
day.
I appreciate it.
And,
Josh, thank you for doing all this because I know this takes a lot of work on your part.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially trying to edit out all the times that I laugh and say stupid things. And then he's like,
that's the majority of the editing that happens.
Is editing out me laughing?
No. Oh, sorry. I was referring to the stupid things you say.
So I think one of your podcasts needs to be all those outtakes that you edited to put back to back to some of those things.
Anything out.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
And
thanks, Josh.
Have a great day.
You too.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed that recap with Colonel Pemberton over the last year, and I enjoyed that conversation. I get to talk to him every day, so I always enjoy having a conversation like that and bringing people in on it. Josh, you just brought up a good point, and I know you're not gonna like me for this, but we talk about a lot of resources, but say what you just said a minute ago.
Yeah. So basically I was saying, because this isn't the first, we've had 12 podcasts now, and I'm going to say that on at least 6 of them, it could be more, but on at least 6 of them, the resources that are offered here, or at every base, have been mentioned.
Right.
And I just really, I really believe that those are so incredibly valuable, but you as an airman, as a supervisor, as a superintendent, as a flight chief, how can you know where to send someone if you don't know what that resource offers? So how can you, I mean, we talk about Erin all the time because she is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably the best at what she does in the whole Air Force.
Yeah.
How do you know that she's the right person to take someone over to talk to her if you haven't talked to her before? You know, and I think we get caught up a lot of times in what these resources are. We all know they're there. Do you know what they do?
Yeah.
Do you know what they offer?
What they can do.
What they can do. Yeah.
Right. So we talked about that the other day I was talking about my TSP and talking about the financial services that are here. And I was like, wow, I really don't know a whole lot about TSP. And, you know, I invest in privately and then get to talk to. So we offer a course that's how to be a millionaire through TSP. I wonder how many millionaires we have sitting here, but they teach you how to go about it. And so you're absolutely right, is knowing that. And I think understanding those resources, but not even more, but with that is understanding your people.
Of course.
And you've got to understand that what works for Colonel Pemberton and I didn't work for the last boss that I have. You know, her and I had a totally different relationship, and it still is going on. And it is, you know, unique in its own way, but there was different triggers that she needed and different things that she had and different things that, you know, I was at a different point in my life and stuff like that. And the same thing, what works for Colonel Pemberton and I may not work for you and Doug Hayes and you know, or you know, the listener and their supervisor or their subordinate or their peers.
Right. And so it's 2 parts, right? It's not only knowing the resources, what they offer, but it's knowing your people to know when they need, or when you and you know, anyone else that you're working with, when you need to have that conversation of like, are you doing all right? And when the answer is no, now you know them well enough to ask the question, and you know the resources well enough to, hey, let's go talk to this person.
Yeah. And that's key. I think they said over at the Chick-fil-A training that we had was deliver the mail to the right address.
Yes.
Right. Is
great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah. Deliver the mail to the right address. And then we added to that at the right time.
Yep.
Right. And so knowing the right timing with that person, knowing the person well enough to know what they're willing to accept and whether you need to walk with them or whether you can just tell them to walk or what it may be. But I'll tell you, to wrap this up is I've enjoyed being here over the last, you know, almost 18 months. And there's not a lot of stuff, if you've listened to these, this statement will not come as a surprise to you. There's not a lot of things that I know and not a lot of things that I can guarantee you. But the one thing I do know is no matter what you're going through, you're not meant to go through it alone. And as a team, we can get through, I think, anything. And it's us working together to utilize the resources to capitalize and to maximize our time here on UTAs and to make this a place that people feel valued and that they want to come to work at. So find those ways and find someone to walk through, you know, a difficult time with. And we are so thankful for you guys. And hopefully, I think we're supposed to have like one sunny, good day of the UTA. So get out and enjoy it a little bit. We have a Frisbee golf course now on base. Frothing, or I think that's what that's called. Frothing.
I don't know.
It's like golfing, but with an F for Frisbee.
Oh, for
Frothing. I think there's a Seinfeld episode about it. Froth.
I don't know. I've never Frisbee golfed.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do that someday. Yeah. But appreciate you guys, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you next month.